we've all been there when you read a book and then you get to the end and you think, what in the heck did I just read?
Hey guys, I'm Austin.
And I'm Alyssa.
And this is Achilles with a book on his head?
So I think we can all agree that in some aspect of our life we have wanted to better ourselves, whether it's money or personal confidence or sales ability, and we've all went through some type of bookstore, library, someplace with books, and we looked through the self-help section, but we've never really bothered.
So at the end of this video, we're going to convince you whether or not to spend your money on these popular books.
Yeah.
So what books are we going to be talking about, you may ask?
These books!
That really freaking hurt. Take two.
These books! We're going to be talking about Atomic Habits by James Clear that is 264 pages.
And we're going to be talking about my book, which is Getting to Yes by Roger Fisher and William Ury. And it is 194 pages.
So in this video, we're going to be going over these two books. We're doing a little deep dive on these categories here. So feel free to skip ahead or skip in the video on parts that you just really want to see. And let's get into it. So in Atomic Habits, obviously it's a self-help book. Both of these are, but more specifically, this one is about making good habits and breaking the bad ones so that way you never do them again instead of just acknowledging that it's there but then still doing it. And along with that, some really cool Jedi mind tricks to overcome these bad habits, create the good ones, and make them stick. A quick little summary about this book is that it's not just about preaching to you and giving you directions of how to get these good habits, but it actually uses real-world scientific methods that are really interesting. It's not boring at all, and you can truly understand how to build good habits and actually keep them, and I think it's been working for me.
So in my book, Getting to Yes, it's all about negotiation. And honestly, you may not think that this applies to you because I didn't either before I read this book, but I think anybody can use this whether you're in business or not. So basically, what I like to do is whenever I finish reading a book, I like to do quick little summaries on a sticky note just so I can kind of refresh my brain of what the book was about without having to reread the entire book. So basically, a quick little summary about this book is it teaches you how to talk to people, how to communicate with people, how to read people and understand them. And a big focus key point that this book talks about is separating the people from the problem. So when you're negotiating with someone, you have to understand that you're not negotiating the person. It's not a personal issue, it's the problem. So this allows you to actually meet an agreement if possible.
The most interesting thing that I read about when it comes to Atomic Habits was when you want to change your habit, you have to make it interesting and enjoyable. You can't just say you want to do something but hate the end result of whatever you want to do. For example, if you want to go to the gym, if you want to better yourself, the goal can't be, I want to lose weight. It has to be something enjoyable that is positive to you, because we as humans, we love things that give us immediate gratification and hate the things that don't. So if your only goal, if the only reason you want to go into the gym is to lose weight or lose X amount of pounds, but you can't find any enjoyment in that, you're going to probably lose it and stop doing it. But if you were to find that the immediate gratification is you start to feel better, you get better sleep, you start doing positive things for yourself when you're actually working out, it's pretty cool. And they even done an experiment, like I said, with scientific research where they used to do toothpaste all the time. You know, toothpaste has been a thing for years, but people was still having cavities left and right, just terrible, dental hygiene. And they found out that when they added mint flavor to the toothpaste, people were more inclined to use toothpaste, and the dental hygiene went down when it comes to cavities and other bad things that happen. And the only thing they really did was add flavoring to the toothpaste. They didn't add any other chemicals or anything else. It still worked the same, but it was now enjoyable instead of just something holding people back.
So one thing that I found the most interesting about this book was a concept where it's considered one person cuts the cake and the other chooses the slice. So this may sound like common sense, but it was something that I found really interesting. I'd never heard of it before. But basically, it's whenever you can't reach an agreement in the negotiation. So you have one person cut the cake, which means they make the decisions of what to do, and the other person chooses a slice. So therefore, you want both parties to kind of have an equal opportunity to get what they want, so that way no one's getting more than the other. Because obviously if you cut a cake where one slice is bigger and the other person chooses, you're going to end up with a smaller slice.
But when it comes to the pace of Atomic Habits, I really enjoyed it. So a lot of self-help books and just books in general that are supposed to be giving you advice or life lessons or anything like that, you kind of feel like they're preaching to you, or you're just like sitting down reading a academic textbook or something like that. When it comes to this, the pace of it was really nice. It explained everything in detail using research. He was actually funny, like it wasn't just plain, black and white text on pages. He was actually, you could tell he had a personality. And every chapter had a purpose that culminated to the end. It wasn't like it was going from here and there and like talking about how to break habits in weird ways. Like it was every chapter built upon itself, so that way you could really understand the next one and then the following after that.
So the pace of this book I would consider like pretty moderate, which I personally enjoy in a book, because I don't want a book that's so slow that I lose interest, but I don't want a book that's so fast that I'm going to be lost in the words and not going to understand what it's talking about. So along with what he said about Atomic Habits, this book goes into a lot of examples of real life scenarios, so it kind of makes it more interesting. And from me personally, with a scientific background, I really enjoy that because I understand that more. I don't understand terminology as much as I do actual live examples, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on that. Overall, I think that this book didn't really confuse me. It was a great pace for, I think, many people to enjoy. It wasn't fast, it wasn't too slow, it was perfect.
The big question is, did Atomic Habits have a good ending? And I truly believe it does. And along with the good ending of basically explaining every other chapter before it, like I mentioned in the pace part of the video, is that the very end of the book has actual life experiences and scenarios that you could face and how to use this book for that example, like for business, for parenting, for finances, for anything like you could really think of scenario-wise. It has an example and like a couple paragraphs of how this book could be used for those examples. So I thought that was really cool, and it didn't just leave you hanging like, well, how do I use this book for my scenario? Your scenario could be in here, or a scenario that could kind of relate to whatever they talk about in here, and you could really find value in this book for whatever you want to do in life.
For me personally, I believe that a book has a good ending if I can take something away from it. So for me personally, I took a lot of information away from this, and honestly, whenever I started, I kind of had a negative view on this, which I hate to say that because I don't like going in with a bias when I read a book, but I did because I thought, well, I'm not in business, I have nothing to gain from this, but I was so wrong. This literally gave me so much information that I have personally used since I have read this book. So really, really enjoyed the ending, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. I think a lot of people would agree.
I think a lot of people would agree on me. Atomic Habits worth reading. 20,000 out of 10, yes. I think you should 100% read this book. It doesn't matter if you are in business, if you are starting your own future thing, if you just think you're sucking at life right now and you want to find something. I think this book has applications for anybody in any stage of life because it just overall is helping you build good habits, and we all need good habits to be successful in whatever we want to do, even if it's not anything with like making money, but you just want to be a successful person, a successful parent, dad, mom, whatever. This is something that can be applicable to you in all kinds of different scenarios, so I think this is worth reading 100%.
I also believe that this book is definitely worth the read because not only does it kind of apply to people who are actually in business who will have negotiations and deals that they have to deal with in their job or in their life, but also it can really relate to literally just the average person like me. Like I said, I'm not in business, and I personally really enjoyed it, so I highly recommend this to anybody, but especially if you are a business person. And also, there's other books to this that I haven't read yet, but honestly, I'm considering reading because this one was just that good.
Would I read Atomic Habits again? I would, but only when I need it. I wouldn't read this book again if, I just wanted to read it again just to do it, like for fun. I would only read this again if I feel like I'm lacking in a certain area that it talked about, so I can just refresh, something, or even like when I did this video, I kind of was skimming over my favorite part so I could really grasp that concept again and be fresh in my brain. But overall, I think the readability of rereading this book, it can only apply if you are in a scenario that it can make sense.
I believe that this book also is exactly what he stated. I think that I probably wouldn't read it again. unless I just really needed a refresher of what happened, which is kind of why I put the sticky notes in there. And also I do these little highlights in the book as well with erasable highlighters. So if you're curious about that, I'll link them in the description below. No, this is not sponsored, of course, but it's just really, really cool. It's a cool concept. But yeah, I think that I wouldn't reread it just for fun. It's just kind of something, if I needed to quickly skim over it, then I would.
Okay, so now the rating for Atomic Habits, and I really wanted to put a lot of thought in this because obviously this is our first book talk, but you know, to give something 5 out of 5, it would absolutely have to be amazing. And I'm not a really super heavy reader in the first place, but I want to give this a 5 out of 5, not just because of this book, but within this book, this guy has done so much work that revolves around this book that I want to give it a 5 out of 5 because he has online tools that are referenced in all kinds of chapters of this video that say, hey, if you want more information on this, or if you want to get a download an Excel sheet referencing this, he has so many online tools that you can use that is free as long as you buy the book because it's in here and you can use it. So not only can you use this book after reading it for everyday life, but there is online resources as well. So he put a lot into it and I think that deserves 100% a 5 out of 5.
So I personally really enjoy reading. I try to read a lot since I've graduated from college and stuff. I've had a little bit more free time to read. So I usually want to give every book a 5 out of 5. That's just how I am. But I think if I really try to judge this book critically, I'd give it about a 4.5 or a 4 out of 5. Just because, yes, it made me think critically. I literally thought about this book like days after I read it, which always means it's a good book in my opinion. It was really easy to follow. There was really good examples in there. But I think that there's just a couple things that I would change and just kind of elaborate more maybe on the book. There's one, like a couple terms in the book that I just really like. It didn't stick with me. It didn't really make a lot of sense, so I had to do my own research on it or whatever. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just because I don't know the business industry. I don't know anything about negotiating. So maybe that was just me. But yeah, that's the only reason why I would deduct this book a few points. But overall, I think it was a really good book. Still really recommend it.
So if you guys have any other recommendations for us when it comes to any type of book, doesn't have to be self-help, anything in general, 5-star reads that you think were amazing or books you thought was terrible, link them in the description below. We'll see if we want to read them and do a book talk on it. And click this video here where we go over Instacart and seeing how much money we made, because that's one of the most popular videos that we have right now and it's been really cool and really fun to watch.
Also, if you want to see a really funny video, make sure to check out this video. As always, make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Also, make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell for future upload notifications.
Yeah.
Leave us some comments if you want to see Achilles in some future videos because we can't think of anything to put him in. So, if you want to see Achilles, make sure to comment below a video idea for us.